Grischuk versus MVL in the Hamburg FIDE Grand Prix semi-final. Let's begin. Knight f3, knight f6, c4, c5, knight c3, d5. MVL always playing the Grunfeld, anti-Grunfeld setup. Here we won't get a main line. cd5, knight d5, e3, e6. MVL deviating already from his most recent loss against Radjabov. This is a game I will attach in the description below and also as a card to this video. Reminding you of this game, if you are not aware of it: knight takes c3, dc3, queen c7, e4, e6, bishop d3, bishop e7, queen e2. There will be details explaining this in the other video. Back to this game: e3, e6, bishop c4, bishop e7. Same problem here. You don't want to play knight takes c3 because it just transposes actually dc3. Don't want to trade queens off. I discussed that in the other video. Queen c7, e4, queen e2, castle, and white gets a nice attack. Bishop c4, bishop e7, castle, castle, queen e2. Similar to the Radjabov game, we're going to tuck the bishop back on this c2, h7 diagonal, knight c6, rook d1, b6 played. Same problem here. You don't want to take on c3 because this is Grischuk's middle game idea to capture back with the d pawn, and after the queen moves, e4. Rook d1, b6 played. d4. This is what MVL is waiting for because now he can take on c3, and after bc3 we get a Grunfeld structure in which there's a c and a d pawn. The c pawn might be a target for black later. Queen c7, e4, rook d8, bishop e3, knight a5 played. Attacking the bishop, bishop drops back. Now this knight on a5 I've seen in two of MVL's most famous losses this year against Carlsen and Mamedyarov. This video will be attached in the description below and as a card to this video. It is 18 minutes long, but I go into detail in those two games. The knight on a5 is what MVL has played in both games, including this one, so a third time, and he has lost all three games. Bishop d3, bishop b7, and now h4. I wonder if this makes sense in this type of pawn structure. There is no pawn on g6, so what's the point in going h4 when you want to go h5, not attacking a g-pawn? Grischuk has another idea. Perhaps the knight goes to g5 or the bishop goes to g5. b5, big decision, trying to get counterplay, and now bishop takes b5. Bishop takes e4, d takes c5. You've got to be thinking for such a long time, in which Grischuk was 18-minute thing to give up the center pawn. Now why has he done this? Because he wants to grab the d pawn. Bishop takes f3. A mistake from MVL giving up the bishop pair. Perhaps he needs to, keep this bishop, maybe drop it back, maybe play h6. Bishop takes f3, queen takes f3, bishop takes c5, bishop f4. You have to keep the bishop pair after queen b7 with queen e2. Why? Because white has worse pawn structure, and with the bishop pair and the queens on and the rooks on, white has attacking opportunities. Queen to e7, h5, bishop d6. A pair of bishops come off, but Grischuk is transforming his advantage. Bishop takes d6, rook takes, take, rook d1, d file for white, queen c5, rook d7, d file for white. Let's continue. Queen takes c3 and now queen d1. So a pawn sacrifice by Grischuk, a deep idea. But we go back to this fact. MVL, including this game, has now lost 3 Grunfeld games against fellow 2750 opponents because the knight on a5 does not exist. It is so difficult to get this knight back in the game. Queen d1 played. A nice backward battery, you could say. The rook is on d7 with the queen on d1, controlling lots of squares. The bishop in b5 is just restricting the black knight. Let's continue. h6, g3, rook f8. Wow, what a move to play to give up the a pawn. So let's go into this. Why not a6? Well, let's drop the bishop back, and what are we saying? The knight on a5 still can't move. If you go knight c4, rook d8 check actually wins the knight, so that's a really cool way to win. Take, king h7, and let's just drop the queen back with queen d3 check. Instead of a6, is there some other way for MVL to try to save the a pawn? Maybe not. If you go rook c8 rather than rook f8 in the game, you could take, and then knight c6, very similar to the game, and black has to do something in such a position. Note queen f3 is white's next move. So g3, rook f8, he defends f7, rook takes a7, knight c6, rook d7, and now knight e5. First question, why not rook c7? Because black has a brilliant move to attack the bishop. Both pieces are attacking the knight, so we have to attack the bishop. Queen e5, queen a5, both are good. Queen e5 attacks the rook as well. Even better, you could say. Rook takes c6, queen b5, now rook d6. Is white slightly better in this ending? Maybe. He's got a pass pawn. The queen on d1 is a beautiful controller, queen a5, a4, but is there a way for white to make progress so easily in this queen and rook endgame? I don't think so. Rook back to d7, knight e5, rook d8, queen c7, take, a4. Grischuk is transforming his advantage. King e7, bishop e2, queen c3, queen b1, maybe queen b7 check, trying to support, maybe queen b5, then with a5, knight c6 check, bishop back to f1, queen d7, defending a4, en passant after g5. Playing g5, trying to get some space. Also, I think black might be running out of moves. If you play maybe queen b4 just to sit, check looks very dangerous after king e5. Wow, is the black king just getting trapped? King e4, queen d3 is mate, so that's pretty cool. After g5, en passant, take with the king. King g2, king g7, use the bishop. Once again, this knight is just a sad story in all three losses by MVL. Bishop b5, queen e5, queen back to d3, controlling all the light squares, queen c5, queen f3, bishop e8, attack f7, queen d5, stopping that. But here, MVL gets a lost endgame. Grischuk is transforming the advantage. Take, king f3, king f6, king g4, king e7, bishop back to b5, king h5. So how to win this endgame as white? King g7, bishop back to f1. Let's have a look. Knight b3. So what is the idea now? You want the d pawn to move. Why? Bishop g2, d4, bishop f1. So what? What's the difference now? It's because the white king can now come back. Wow, because this pawn used to be here and it was controlling the e4 pawn. Knight d2, let's put a stop to the d pawn. Bishop d3, knight b3, bishop f1, just repetition, nothing. Bishop back, and he's just waiting for his chance. The king can now come into the position. King f4, a5, knight c5 stops king e4, but then you let the a pawn run. Really beautiful transformation. d3, king e3, d2, final trick by MVL. You cannot take on d2 because knight b3 check and it will be a draw. So after d2, let's stop the pawn promoting with bishop e2, and then white can take on d2 next. And you cannot stop it. If you go knight b3, then this guy runs. And if you can't stop king takes d2, then that's it. So here MVL resigned. If you keep playing king d2, king here, I guess, run the guy up the board. There's your deflection. Here, come for all the other pawns. A beautiful game by Grischuk, who goes through to the final of Hamburg FIDE Grand Prix. Check out my videos here. You may enjoy a game by Dubov or by Vachier-Lagrave, videos on Carlsen, wide range of videos to help you develop your chess. Go to the video page. If you enjoyed this short video, then why not like it and subscribe to the channel at the same time. Plus check out 2 videos over here.